Hi, hello, happy Sabbath and Shabbat Shalom. Unfortunately, Fluffy's leg has not improved. In fact, it's gotten worse. What she's scratching on is the one that's obviously not doing well. We took another trip down to vet yesterday, and he said he needs her in Monday for a biopsy, no later than 1 in the afternoon. So we'll have to be going back there Monday. Unfortunately, Chestnut over here seems to still be losing body mass. I don't know if it's just because she's nursing or if it's because of her having still something wrong with her internally. But I've given her all sorts of worming medicine. I'd hope that would fix it, but it hasn't yet. I've got up there, I've got some 7 dust to which I dust on Fluffy's body to fight mites. At the moment, that's the only thing I can think of doing is to dust her for mites. Because apparently it's a potential that it's a mite doing the damage. It's a mighty mite. Okay, over here. I got another stage of the stairs completed. I don't remember if I'd already finished putting paraffin underneath all these things last week, but all these are now fastened down, and the stairs are no longer wibbly and wobbly all over because they're now anchored securely. Although I say that, this one right here doesn't look all that great, and I may have to go in there and do something to tie them down a little with a little more force and gusto. They're not tied down as tightly as I'd like them. And then the gaps on the edge, I'll have to fill them in with something. Again, the idea is to keep water from getting into and underneath and in between the boards, because it's what causes them to rot. And water getting down in the screws and stuff makes them rust. So, well, this little tomato is recovering some. It was looking really wilty the other day when it was full of water, and people say, why would it wilt when it's full of water? Mainly because it chokes off the roots. Roots need a certain amount of air to work properly. The reason there's a hole there, I dug that hole trying to make certain I could check how deep the water was in there. This one had water in it too. See this tube here? It's got a weight on the end of it, so it's a siphon hose. So I can siphon the water out from around the roots of the plants. Neither of them were very happy with being nearly drowned. That's why it's still wilty looking at this point. You make certain that I'm not in zoomed in condition still. Sometimes I forget. But anyhow, so it's recovering some. It's not as droopy as it was. All the tiger lilies have finished flowering. The broccoli, I redusted them. I found actually a caterpillar on this one right here a couple days ago. So I redusted them. Just hoping to kill off the caterpillars. That way, once the caterpillars are done for the year, then I can just cut all the tops and force them to flower. So far that I can tell, up to this point, the big cucumber vine, biggest of them here, has not put on a female flower yet, just male flowers. So it's got lots and lots of male flowers, but no fruit yet. I hope it's not sterile. That'd be a complete disaster. I put more seedlings in there, and well, they sprouted, but they're not just doing too great. I think most of them have already, they're there. They don't look like much. Some of them have got first a mature leaf going on, but they're still tiny, and they're still a long ways from sure thing that they're even going to live to the end of the year. Over here, still haven't had a lot of success with these older potatoes that I put in here. I put some more, I put some Pontiac potatoes in here. And in the process, when I didn't know where the other potatoes were at, that yuck right there used to be a potato. I dug in there to put a hole, and I dug it right through the old potato. It was rotten gush, so that's why it isn't coming up, I guess. It looked pretty good. They all looked pretty healthy, all four of them, before I put them in there. But only two even come up, and even then, they don't look very good. So, you know, what can I say? Over here, there was one tub of soil right here, and it's just an empty tub with water in it now. This tub's still got some soil, but I've moved a lot of the, compost. It wasn't just soil, it was compost. Anyhow, I drained a lot of that out, and I used it over here on the tomatoes and the potatoes to both add soil to them and water them. We've had rain since then, but deer almost obliterated this. They picked off almost every single leaf off these poor peppers, and they picked almost every single fruit off of them. They stripped them down bare. So I have put wire around everything in hopes that I can slow that robbery down some. All the leaves you see here have been growing up just since I put that wire on here a couple days ago. So the plant will grow vigorously, per se. It's just that they'll eat it more vigorously than it can grow if you leave them to do that. Leave the plant undefended, and it's going to be in trouble because it can't stop them. I had a whole bunch of tomatoes over here on these plants, like 30 or 40 of them, and most of them got robbed. In fact, I picked a couple of them up off over by the corner of that truck tire on the ground, and I brought them inside. They're already starting to ripen in the kitchen. But a lot of this up in here was being eaten away, probably still is. But, and I'll have to get some more wire to more thoroughly defend this, because I need to defend it from deer at the top and groundhogs at the bottom if I'm going to have any hope of keeping these plants alive long enough to bear any fruit. And the problem is now, of course, is we're getting into hotter weather. It's supposed to be 104 on Tuesday, and that's going to really slow down the fruit setting, because they like cooler weather to set fruit. The fruit that's on there is fine, but the fruit that isn't on there might not come if it keeps staying too hot. They won't set, and then you won't get any more, at least until the fall when it starts cooling off. The potatoes are still struggling along. Since I fenced them up, some of them have grown whole new stems, several, new growths on them that are completely strong. Some of them have speckles and spots on them, like they've got chemical burns, or like they've gotten some kind of fungus or something on them. I don't know, but each of those also got a little soil and a little bit of compost juice. This thing is finally setting just a couple of fruit here. Like there's one right there. There's a two right there. So there's a couple on there. This thing has grown up to be quite the behemoth compared to the other plants. And somehow or another, oh, there's one right there. Somehow or another, it's gotten away with not being eaten. I don't know if it's got a chemical difference about it that repels or not. Something to learn for the future. There's one right there. Now see, last year they didn't eat the tomatoes at all. They were mainly a different breed than this, but nobody touched them. And this breed here apparently is more edible to a deer. It's apparently got less nicotine and anabasine in it, which is the poison that makes them hard for anything except tobacco worms to consume. In other words, it's got to be something that's metabolism is capable of dealing with. those dangerous alkaloids before it can actually survive. Over here, see, I've walked over here enough since I had this garden plot that I've got a path going on now. It's just because I've been coming over here 2-3 times a day sometimes, check on stuff. These plants keep growing and spreading out. I put that that shopping crate in there intentionally to keep the plant tipped over this direction so that they wouldn't lay down so hard on the watermelons and shade them out, because they don't do well if they're shaded. There's a few of them got fruit on them. This is the most mature fruit I've got at the moment. They're not growing super fast, but they're growing. They're not in deep soil either, so. Over here, looks like something, or the wind, an animal or the wind knocked over this tomato cage. This is a pink tomato. It's got a weirder leaf than the others, but hopefully it'll make a neat fruit. That's a golden cherry tomato. They look like they've bitten a couple leaves off of it now. It's already produced one single fruit that's ripened. Gave that to Mom. Over here, this thing, the oldest one, is still putting on fruit. They're just not coming out at the speed I was hoping they would. I was hoping they'd be one a day, but they haven't been. I've only gotten 3 of them since it started fruiting. Here's a yellow one starting to put on fruit. It's a total of 10 plants, and I couldn't tell you how many of them are green and how many are yellow, but there's both green and yellow in here. And I suppose it might be possible to tell the difference based on the leaf pattern. See, this one's got really deep ridges, cuts in it, and then some of these are pretty shallow. So, but then this one here looks halfway in between, and I don't know if it's just... anyhow, either way, and it looks like it's part of this plant, but either way, it's still there. I think that may be what you find in this, is that the ones with the deep cuts are the yellows, and the ones with the shallow cuts are the greens. Either way, you know, they this unfortunately is a deer hoof, because they do come through here. There's another one of the little fruitlets right there. They're around here. There's not many of them yet. But the idea, hopefully, is they'll get out, spread out, and start getting some sunlight, and making some melons. And then, of course, I'll have to deal with the stupid groundhogs eating them, too. They've already pulled a couple of fruit off of this, or a squirrel did, something did. And I'm having to deal with Japanese beetles, and some of these fruits are just sitting there rotting on the tree. Either because they've been pecked by birds, bitten by squirrels, or the bug holes or whatever. And so either way, probably not going to get much fruit out of that. Alright, well, that's it for gardening. The only real big bunch of flowers, I've still got my day flowers, and I've still got my Rose of Sharon there. Rose of Sharon's still in good blooming condition. It will be for a little while longer. All the lilies got eaten off again by the deer, and those things are flowering, but you can't really see anything. I mean, you know, it's just a nut flower. It doesn't look like much. See, the yellow cone flowers are still in their last stages for the year. The wild petunias are always sparse. They're here, but there's never just a whole lot of them. Let me see. There you go. And then there's the sunflowers up there. Apparently they'll be going on for most of the rest of the summer, depending on how hot it gets. So, and then the waxweeds are coming out. And then some other flowering plants. This here is apparently called Russian Lesbodeza. It makes spindly little pink flowers that are fairly pretty. Of course, this thing here, I don't remember what it's called, but it makes a white flower. Not a big one, but a flower. And black-eyed Susans are done. Pretty much most everything around here is done. If you remember last report, I think it was, had been over here melting that paraffin that I just showed being brushed on the stairs. Now this is left over. These containers had candles in them. This is some kind of soy wax like stuff that's not worth anything for me. So I don't know what I'll do with it. It's combustible, but it is not waterproof, as you can see by it running down the truck. That was just a lamp that was in there. It's got a bulb in there. Just happened to be out here and I just left it there. That gunk right there was just crap that was on the top of the paraffin that stayed on top of the paraffin instead of sinking to the bottom of the pan. So I just left it there because I didn't want it in there in the first place. I got this thing set up over here so that I could start setting up my future rock drill fence post driver mechanism. I haven't gone any further on it, partly because of the fact that I'm just too buried in other projects, but partly because of the fact that been busy with so much stuff I can't get it all done in a rapid succession. I need to go out and spray the Perilla mint downstairs. Hope that tank isn't breaking down in the sunlight like that. It's not a good place for it, really. Out in the sun makes those, and I don't know if the light goes through the side of the container and breaks down the chemicals inside or not either. In here, move stuff around momentarily here so I have a little more room to get around. I pulled things out in front of my hydraulic press rig here. I put that cylinder up there because I'm gonna, and it says here bearings and shaft for DR mower. Hard to read, I realize. And then this was trying to soak the paint off of it before I wire wheel it because it's all corroded in and repaint it. It's not completely clean yet. And then, of course, I did paint that pulley there. It was easy to strip and clean, but it's also already starting to rust on me right through the surface of everything. In here, I have some new bearings, and this is just a thread pitch indicator. I'll put that away. This is the bearing shaft in its nearly seated position. It's already rusting from me wire wheeling it, or rewire wheel it, grease it up, and then go ahead and push both bearings on each end of it. So then, but at the same time I have to do that, I have to push them in the sides of the housing too. So I put, it's almost like a U-joint in a car. Put this way, you can't put it all together outside of the housing and then push it through. You have to push one side through one side of the housing and then the other on the other side, so it takes multiple steps to do it. But with the hydraulic press I've got, it won't be any problem. I'll be able to do that, no sweat. I may need to use a spacer here. Now see right there, this thing has a bit of a spacer in a way, but it's not very deep. So what I'll probably end up doing, about block myself out from that, but I have to move this thing over to get to the press. I forgot about, drop my wrench in the floor. Get that too. So I take one of these, set it up here, and that'll give me the space I need to press the bearing in without having the problem of the depth of that hole being in the way. And I just literally press it up against the, well, probably put this in here and press against it, because that's the nearest thing I've got to the right size that I can think of, unless I find something else around here that's better for the job. That is far from perfect, especially with a cast aluminum or magnesium alloy part. So it's slowly puttering along, not very fast, but I got the bearings and I've gotten set up for that somewhat, so I'll be doing that hopefully this week. Can't think of anything else. So all I can say then is hope you all have a wonderful, blessed coming week, and happy Sabbath to you today, and hopefully next Sabbath I'll have some more interesting things to talk about. So bye for now.